The first thing I remember was when I first started school, and I was very, very young, like 3. And I went to a nice little school in Upton where I lived. And they had a routine of all the children having a nap after lunch. And on a nice day, in the summertime, we slept outside. But I can remember crying on the first day, because I was only 3, and sitting on the teacher's lap. And I do remember going to sleep in the afternoons. I remember my mother coming to pick me up at 3 o'clock or whenever it was to take me home, and it was walking distance to home. And as far as I know, that little school is still there. And then I remember going into the junior school and being a year ahead of myself, so I must have been... I liked school, I liked going and learning stuff. So I must have been a bright little cookie because I was a bit ahead. Then the next thing I remember is sitting the 11 plus exam, which was a scholarship exam to go to grammar school. Don't call it that anymore. And of course you sit that when you're 11, but I must have been 10 when I sat it the first time. And the amazing thing is I couldn't understand why I didn't pass. I didn't pass it when I was 10. I sat it again when I was old enough, 11, and I went to the grammar school, which was called Pontefract and District Girls High School, in Pontefract, of course. And I went there, having got my 11 plus when I was 11. And, what was my next big thing? That was a big thing, going to high school. And couldn't understand why some of the kids didn't like me anymore. And it was because I was going to grammar school and not to the local secondary modern like they were. Bit of jealousy, I suppose. I hadn't changed. I was still me. But I remember having a stand-up with a boy. He wanted to fight.
With a boy?
He wanted to fight, not me.
Yeah.
Getting off the school bus, you see. I used the same school bus. But I would have got on it in Pontefract to come home. And he would have got on it at the other end of the village. And funny lad. And I was frightened, but I wasn't going to let him know I was frightened. I stood there with my finger. Come on then. And when I put my fists up, he turned and walked away. So it just goes to show, don't let them know you're frightened. And then after that, what did I do? Oh, yeah. I didn't go into teaching straight away. I did all sorts of things before then. I didn't go to university because, well, as you know, my parents were divorced when I was about 11. And that hit me hard. I found that hard to live with. And then my mother lived with this guy called Demps. And I don't know whether he didn't like me or whether he was just a cantankerous guy. But he didn't like the fact that I was going to high school, I don't think. And he thought I should be going to work when I should have been really going to university. So I left school before I should have done, and I went to work. And
so what age was that?
I was about 16. See, I shouldn't have left school then.
Because you stayed for a few more years,
I should have stayed for 2 more years at the high school. And I should have gone to university. But I didn't because of him. Made life miserable. But it gave me the ability to think before I speak a lot more. because having had all these experiences as a youngster, I don't jump to the wrong conclusions too quickly, because you just don't know what kids have to put up with when they're, you know, school age, and you don't know what their home conditions are like. Anyway, I always wanted to be a teacher. Even when I was a kid, I used to play being a schoolmistress with my sister Anne, and I was always the teacher. I was always the boss. I was always the teacher, bossy one, I suppose, and my friend Elaine. And so I worked at different things. Worked at the hospital in Pontefract, and I thought I might like to be a nurse, but anyway, I didn't go into nursing.
How long were you at the hospital?
I was at the hospital for probably a year. I think I was working there when I went to stay with my dad and Nana.
So you were, what, 17 then?
So I was going on for 17, I think. I wasn't 17. I think I had my 17th birthday there, because remember they gave me a birthday party because
At
I
the
got
hospital?
a job in. Because I went on a visit to Hammersmith in England. Hammersmith's an area of London. You've heard of Hammersmith Ballet? No, it's a big
No.
dance hall. Well, I went dancing there. It's lovely. Anyway, I went to live with Dad and Peggy, or Nana, as we all called
Yeah.
her. And I liked it there, and they were good to me. And I went to work. Barker's was a big department store in Kensington. Still there, I think.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And I went to work there, and then I went to night school at the same time. I was going to night school to study secretarial duties, I think, and shorthand and typing, and then, I met Harry. Oh, that's right, my dad and Mum were, they were managing a pub here, there and everywhere over London for a firm, you know, a firm that owned all these pubs, and they were managers for this firm, and so we travelled around different places looking after pubs while the regular tenants of them went on holiday. So that was interesting. And then what happened? Oh, I must have gone to the Lyceum Ballroom where I met Harry. That was love at first sight. And we went to get my bus for me to go home, because we'd been told there was a bus that ran until such and such a time. And we went and we waited and we waited and we waited, and no bus. So whoever had told us wrong. Well, I thought, they're going to be so bad. Anyway, I remember Harry got a taxi for me, put me in a taxi and sent me home in the taxi. And Mum was waiting at the door of the pub. Go straight to your room, she said, your dad's livid. Because he wouldn't have believed me. He always thought the worst. So, and she knew that she could trust me. Just go straight to your room. So that's what I did. And he would have been furious. But we didn't do anything wrong. We were just waiting for the jolly bus that didn't come. So that was my first experience of being a grown-up and missing my bus home at night. And not long after that he went to... Oh, we went out a few times. I went to the pictures and went for walks and... Yeah.
So you met him first when you were dancing at this ballroom?
Yeah.
And when did you first meet him?
In the Lyceum Ballroom when he asked me to dance.
He just approached you?
He just came along and said, "May I have this dance?"
Who were you there with? Were you there with friends?
I'd gone with a girlfriend. Yeah. No, I can't remember her name. There was a girl called Margaret I used to go out with, but I think it was another friend that we both had, a mutual friend that I was with that night. Anyway, we kept in touch with each other, Harry and I, and he was on leave, as it happened, from the Air Force. He was in the Air Force. And so I'd be 18. No more than, I don't think I was any more than 18 when I first met him. 18 or maybe 19, I'm not sure. And yes, it was a few weeks after that. A few months, very few months, before he went